podcast for heroes in the world of Overwatch. This is The Payload.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 41 of The Payload. We are an Overwatch podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com. It is September 22nd, 2016 from Denver, Colorado. I am John Horseman, and with me, of course, is the crew. First, we're going to switch it up this week from Camarillo, California. It is Jimmy Bloxham. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey everyone, always great to be on The Payload. So excited to talk about everything this week. The PTR dropped with some really cool stuff for esports, so that'll be fun to talk about.
Absolutely, they definitely did. Lots to talk about, but next, from Saskatoon, Canada, it is Kevin Outestead. Hey, Kev.
What's up, John? Jimmy? It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. I'm excited to talk PTR as well as some of the other topics that we've been kicking around. We've been kind of waiting for a slower week where we could get into some of the good stuff that, you know, maybe is going to go down at BlizzCon. So that's going to be a big theme for tonight. And I think that's probably a topic a lot of people have been waiting for, just to get a sense of kind of where we think the game is headed now that we've got a few months of live release behind us and we get to start thinking about the future a little bit.
In the trash.
I think we thought it was going to be a slower week, and then we got the PTR like a couple hours ago.
Like 2 hours ago, yeah.
I hate when they do that on Thursdays. Basically, when we get new news on Thursdays, if you ever hear me go, Kev, we had this happen this week, didn't we? That means that news came out on Thursday, and I haven't gotten a chance to look at it.
And I have to figure it out on the fly, yeah.
It's exactly what happens. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into it. But before we do, Jimmy and I will be at TwitchCon next Thursday, right about now. I'll actually be in all day. So we will not be recording live on Thursday at twitch.tv/BlizzPro. We are going to be recording. Are we doing in that Wednesday, Jimmy? Is that what we decided? You guys are going to be recording Wednesday?
It's fine for me.
Yeah, it's got to be
Does
a little later.
Does that work for you? Can we talk about this on the podcast? So when works for you guys? So Wednesday, we're going to be there. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Payload Podcast. I almost said Twitch. Twitter.com/Payload Podcast.
Behind the curtains for the fans here. They get to see us schedule out episodes.
All right, let's take out your planners. How's the 30?
8:30 is no good for me, guys. We're going to have to rebook. Yeah,
all right, great. Well, we're off to a great start. Awesome. Anyways, we're going to be probably recording Wednesday night. So stay tuned. Follow us on Twitch and get those push notifications, or follow us on Twitter and wait for us to give you more updates there. But more than likely, it will be on Wednesday night. And hopefully I can be there. If not, Jimmy, Kev, and Rosh will have to be holding down the fort without me. But yeah, so that's the only PSA. Let's go ahead and talk about our weeks in Overwatch. Kev, how'd you do, man?
Honestly, not great, but I mean, as I mentioned last week, unfortunately, I finished my console placements and then my TV decided to quit on me. So I'm still in the process of trying to get that straightened out. Messed around a little bit on PC, but honestly just haven't had a lot of time. There's a lot of stuff going on with work right now and trying to get ready for BlizzCon and just a whole bunch of projects that I'm super excited that I'm going to have some cool stuff to talk about really soon, but it means that my game time has been at a premium. Also, there was this little thing that came out, expansion to some MMO that I've been spending a little bit of time on as well.
Me too. So, I'm 842. I'm getting up there.
Not bad.
I'm getting up there. But I didn't take a whole week off of work to play, so Kev.
Yeah, look, I have my priorities straight. I'm an adult.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your week, Jimmy. let's
it's kind of the same, very similar to you guys. I haven't really been playing competitive right now. I just haven't been in the mood for it, I feel like, and been playing quick match. It's been fun. It's a lot less stress, and I don't really care very much if I lose. too bad in that mode. So it's a lot more fun and definitely easier to play with friends of varied skill levels in quick match versus something like competitive.
It sucks to be the lowest ranked on your friends list, doesn't it, Jimmy?
It's rough, man.
Oh, burn.
It's true, though, is the thing.
I don't have Rosh to back you up. Do. For those wondering, where is Rosh? She ran into a little bit last minute family emergency. So she's not going to be sitting in with us this week. So we do have this wonderful Mercy placeholder for her for the video. We wish her well. We'll see her next week. Don't worry. We're just going to make her talk twice as much next week. You'll get all the same amount of Rosh that you always get. As for me, did pretty good. I do this thing where I find friends without Xboxes and gaming PCs, and I introduce them to Overwatch, and then they go out and buy Xboxes and games and headsets to play. And so currently I have converted 4 people from nothing to having Xboxes, gaming headsets, and Overwatch. And yeah, so Katie's sister started playing, so we've been playing a lot of quick match. And it's been fun. It has not been competitive, but it has been fun. So
I hope you have like an Amazon affiliate link or something set up, man. Holy.
I should. Yeah, that would be really smart. Hey, Microsoft, I probably can't do this, but I can sell your Xboxes pretty well. Yeah. So that was great, though. I did play a little bit of competitive. I am actually really close to Diamond on Xbox. So
nice.
That's pretty
So where does
dope.
that put you numerically?
I'm at 3930, I believe. Wait, is it
That's
platinum
huge.
then diamond or diamond? No, platinum is 35 to 39. And then diamond
doesn't
is
sound
39 to oh my god.
Platinum is like
Chat, help us
Plat's
out.
25 to 3, isn't it? And then
No, not
Diamond
39,
is
not 30, 20, 29.
29. Okay,
There we
so
go.
that makes
39.
more sense. There we go.
No
All
way. Nope.
right. There we go.
Not a chance. Oh, it's man, it's been a long week, okay? I can barely see straight. But yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead. Jump in. Anything else before we jump into the news, boys? I can say that now, boys.
I don't think so. Let's get into it.
All right.
This week in Overwatch.
All right. So this week in Overwatch, we've got quite a bit going on. But before we get started, we do want to thank our MVPs, Adam B. and Tyler H. Thank you so much for your support of the show. If you want to know more about how you can support the payload as we continue to bring on awesome guests, give out cool free stuff, do game nights and all those things, head on over to patreon.com/payload podcast. Find out how you can get involved. It's not too late to get involved for the month of September and get some of those perks going. So let us know. And boom. All right. So we got a PTR patch up on live. Do we not, Kev?
We do.
Lucky
This
guess.
is that thing where you haven't had a chance to read yet. So
Who's he going to throw to? Who's he going to throw to?
I got it. It's okay. We're good. So yes, PTR did drop this afternoon with a batch of
Knuckleheads.
changes, that we're expecting with content and updates related to things we think they want in the game ahead of BlizzCon. So the majority of this patch is focused on general updates for custom games and spectation. We've got the ability to set up static cameras now, edit team names in custom games, and you can pause custom games, which will be huge for calling any kind of timeouts or that kind of thing in on-stage competitive matches, or if there are technical issues. It's a big deal and something that we really, really, really needed for the competitive scene. There's also a couple of minor balance updates. The ultimate cost for Ana's Nana Boost has been increased by 20%.
Nana's
and
boost. Nana boost.
Nana Boost. That's it now, yeah. And Biotic Grenade has had its radius increased from 3 to 4 meters. Widowmaker's got a slightly reduced time on her scope-in animation, and Junkrat's Riptire will activate more quickly. So you're not going to spend quite as much time in that big animation where he's jumping backwards. On the whole, minor patch as far as the game is concerned, but big updates, I think, for the esports scene. Jimmy.
Yeah, this is absolutely huge for especially observing, obviously, because of they're touching pretty much everything here in the spectator mode that we've kind of talked about early on. I mean, in some of our earliest shows, I think we were talking about how static cameras would be a really good thing to bring to Overwatch, and that's exactly what they are bringing here. And the team names being able to be edited in custom games is just super nice, because now those team names will be in the interface themselves. It'll be a lot easier for streamers and such to be able to do that. And I'm really excited about the being able to pause the custom games as well, because that's always an issue at live events. You can plan for as little downtime as possible, but sometimes the pauses need to happen. This will make tournaments go much quicker. Is if someone disconnects, they won't have to just restart the match anymore, or whatever they have in the rule set there.
Yeah, you get rid of a lot of the risk of needing to like regame in the event that somebody's mouse stops working or something ridiculous, which happens in a live setting. That stuff happens all the time. And I for one, I remember, Jimmy, that we talked about spectator issues way back when, and I said I wanted really badly to see fixed point, fixed angle cameras the way they've got in things like Counter-Strike, because I thought that would be a huge quality of life improvement for the esports scene and being able to watch matches with some perspective that isn't necessarily just bouncing from player cam to player cam. So I think this is going to be a real treat for the Overwatch stuff that's going down at BlizzCon in particular.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being able to, on Temple of Anubis, for example, on point B, having a camera up on top of that statue at that B point, and just being able to see this wide angle of that entire attack point and how much information you're going to be able to gather from that. That's just one example I could think of.
Right. No, there's just a lot of things. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of manpower, because right now, essentially, the way to spectate in like a static camera is to literally have somebody sit in that location and not move their screen, which obviously sucks. So lots of stuff. They're definitely like pounding out the easy, quote unquote, easy stuff, like the quick stuff that they can do today to get that away. It's going to be great though. Totally agree. I really love seeing the Overwatch team's proactiveness of like, we can't solve the whole problem right now, but here's what we can do. Here's what we can solve right now. And I think that's really great. And I think that responsiveness has just electrified the player base a little bit more to be more open, be more patient. I think as much as we all like to, joke about, just a bunch of whiny babies when it comes to changes and everything's overpowered or everything's underpowered or nothing works right. The Overwatch team has definitely shown that consistent communication with iterative changes actually overall does quite well. The majority of the community responds quite well to that type of communication and feedback. And so I think that's been great. I'm really excited to see more of what they come. It's still, at the end of the day, all it does is it's just made it easier for what we already have rather than actually fundamentally change the tools that we have. So watching tournaments outside of getting some new camera angles isn't going to be fundamentally different, but it is going to be a lot easier. It means that tournament organizers can put more time into the better, more elaborate things rather than how do we get 6 spectators on this match so that we can have as many camera angles as possible when most of them are static.
Yeah, I think the big thing here that people need to keep in mind is that we've been very privileged with Overwatch right since it was back in beta, that Blizzard has really shook the moniker of Blizzard soon off for this game. We talked a while back about things like having replays or the ability to resume from a replay, and how that's an engine level fix that's going to take a long time. There, in previous games, I would honestly not have been shocked to see stuff like these observer improvements married to a patch that included that and added as part of a broader engine overhaul. And the Overwatch team in particular has been really, really, like you say, proactive. They've made a real effort to make sure they're out in front of these things and making constructive changes as quickly as they can within whatever's available in the existing game today, whether that's for game tools or balance purposes. Like, they're not going to just wait and dump one big update in like a expansion in a year's time. They're looking at this and saying, no, we want to make this as viewable as possible as an esport. We want to make it as playable as possible as a game, and none of that can wait. And I'm really, really happy that that's the direction that things have gone, because that's not always been the case, right? Traditionally with Blizzard, there's been times where something in a game is busted and you're just going to wait. You're going to wait 6 months or a year until they get their one big balance patch together or their one big content patch together. That's not been the case.
Sorry.
Okay.
You okay there, buddy? It sounds like you have a cough.
It is. Oh,
No.
man.
He's got-
allergies.
Like he's got a little StarCraft stuck in his throat.
No,
Yeah.
I know. On Kevin's point, though, it definitely shows that even within Blizzard, all these teams operate so different from each other. And Overwatch, I think, has probably been the most proactive game for them, I feel like, or from a community standpoint, as far as just in broad general strokes. I mean, I could wax on forever about Heroes and their team, but yeah, Overwatch has been really, really awesome to see them put this out. I honestly didn't think we were going to get observer improvements before BlizzCon.
Me neither. I mean, we talked about that. We said that was something they probably wouldn't drop till BlizzCon, and they'd try to have something maybe ready in time for BlizzCon, so it would be a better spectating experience. And here it is, 6 weeks out, so people can get used to it, play with it, understand it, so they can look at it with test data and say, how do we make it even better? That's huge, and I'm super glad that this is what's going on with this game right now.
I feel like I expected them to announce this big observer spectator patch so they can go, you get custom names and static cameras, and be able to just have this big long list of everything.
They just stuck it in on like a regular
just
PTR, like it's
you
just
know?
any other weekday. Yeah.
I love it. Kev, another one. You put this one in the notes. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay,
I have
so
no idea what you even mean.
Sure. We're a little light on news this week, guys, so we did want to touch on a couple of other topics. And one of the things that I'm hoping we're going to see with Overwatch very soon is some in-game cross-promotion. Blizzard is famous for doing this across all of their franchises, and there's lots of examples that you can think of. There's a card back that's available in Hearthstone for playing Heroes of the Storm. There's a battle pet in World of Warcraft available from Heroes of the Storm. There's I want to say a mount in World of Warcraft that you can get from playing Hearthstone.
From Hearthstone, yeah.
Like there's, and we're not talking here about the stuff you get from ordering a digital deluxe game.
Right? Hearthsteed.
Yes. We're not talking about the stuff you get with digital deluxe editions or from BlizzCon virtual tickets. We're talking about the stuff you get from playing the game. And I'm starting to see, I think, just looking even at my own friends list and at kind of the atmosphere around Blizzard's games right now, a lot of people really loved Overwatch, put a lot of time into it, played the heck out of Season 1, maybe got their Season 2 placements done, and now there's a little less energy for the game, is what I'm noticing. And I think now would be a really great time for Blizzard to turn around and say, hey, here's something that you can earn for your characters in Legion or for your Here's the Storm account, where if you play, 10 games of Overwatch during this promotional period from now till the end of 2016 or from now to the end of Season 2, you'll get the Zarya hero in Heroes of the Storm, or you'll get this battle pet in World of Warcraft. They always do this kind of stuff with their games to try to get people to try out other franchises, right? If you're an Overwatch player that doesn't play Hearthstone, that's maybe an incentive for you to go over there. Or if you're a Hearthstone player who doesn't play Overwatch, maybe you'll buy Overwatch to earn the stuff that you can get in Hearthstone. If it's, 5 free card packs, I know a lot of people who would say, okay, I'll play Overwatch. And that's the sort of thing that I think Blizzard does a really great job of. So I was curious to hear what you guys thought. Is now a good time? Is there something that you'd like to see in terms of a back and forth between Overwatch and some of Blizzard's other games?
I mean, I'm always a fan of new a new things that I can get for my collection. So I'm totally biased towards that. Let's be honest. I think I want to touch on one thing, and I feel like when I look at my friends list, I see my friends who I would consider Blizzard fans. They're like all on World of Warcraft right now, and like it'll take a lot to pull them away from that. But I have a lot of friends who are just pure Hearthstone fans or pure Overwatch fans who have played nothing but. So I definitely think for Blizzard fans, the Overwatch hype train of, that season 1, everyone's playing, you log on and you want someone to do do a best of 5 with you in Hearthstone or run some arena with you in World of Warcraft. Like 3 months ago, that was really hard to do because everyone was playing Overwatch. And now it's definitely really World of Warcraft heavy, but my Overwatch friends and my Hearthstone friends have definitely keep playing. So the people who I feel like I would say are game loyal, I think they're still going strong as ever. Katie just prestiged on Xbox. She hit 100. I'm at level like 60 right now on Xbox.
That's absurd.
Now, to be fair, I'm on level 40 on PC, so like I would probably be close there with her, but I also do a dang podcast like I should be. She's just all about Overwatch. She likes World of Warcraft. She likes Hearthstone, but she loves Overwatch and has been playing it nonstop. It hasn't even phased her. She's not like, ooh, I really want to play Legion right now. She's just like, have fun playing Legion, John. I'm going to keep playing Overwatch. But I'm all for not free stuff, but I'm all for things that get other people playing other games, because you never know when you're going to fall in love with a new game or fall back in love with a game that you left. And it's just brilliant. Blizzard is really setting the bar high with what a true gaming ecosystem can look like across multiple games, across multiple categories. And I think that cross promotion is a big key to that success.
For sure. And to use Katie as an example, since you brought her up, I mean, she's exactly the kind of person that would make really good sense for Blizzard to say, okay, we have these Overwatch players who maybe haven't dabbled in Legion. Let's give them something that they can earn for Overwatch. They can get a Fel-themed skin for Genji or whatever if they go and they play and get a character to max level or whatever, right? That's the kind of stuff that Blizzard always does that really incentivizes going back and forth between the games. I absolutely would jump back on Overwatch tomorrow in a heartbeat if the stuff that I've been doing in Legion or in Hearthstone or in Heroes was unlocking something for me to go back and play with in Overwatch as well. It's a little tricky because it's going to be purely cosmetic, but even still, that would be really cool. Jimmy, you got anything you want to add?
Not too much, because I really think being able to unlock Zarya free by playing in Overwatch would be something. It's really simple, and I don't think it really costs Blizzard too much to really be able to do something like that and pull people into that Heroes ecosystem. But like you were saying, skins would be something really cool to see you unlock from other games into Overwatch. I don't know what they could be, but maybe something from Heroes that would work as a good skin for a hero in Overwatch, or from World of Warcraft, like you were saying, would be really cool. I mean, they've also shown, though, that they can modulize the weapons of the heroes as well, obviously with the golden gun. So that's another avenue they could go down, possibly with something like, I don't know, something with a Hearthstone card.
Give Reinhardt a Doomhammer.
Yeah, that too.
Done. Done. You're welcome. That one's for free, Blizz. You're welcome.
There you go.
Anything else you wanted to hit on here, Kev?
Not at all. I think that was
right.
the extent of what was worth talking about there. I would rather get into this next piece.
Yeah. Seriously.
All right, let's do it. So there's this little thing in the Blizzard universe called BlizzCon. I know, I tell a story so well, don't I, Kev? Anyways.
You're ramp up is not strong. We'll work on it.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. I've got strong ramp game, bro. Anyways, there's this little thing in the world of Blizzard games called BlizzCon.
You said that part already.
Yeah, all right, let me start over. There's this little thing in the world of Blizzard games called BlizzCon. So BlizzCon is right around the corner. We're less than 2 months away. And I can't believe it. It's so fast. Even less than a month and a half away. Basically, well, about a month and a half away. And they are right around the corner. And every year we've got amazing announcements from usually every game. At least we usually get at least one thing from every game, if not something more and better and cooler. And so we thought that this would be a great time to do some BlizzCon speculation, things that we think we might be seeing from the Overwatch team at BlizzCon. And oh my God, if I wait until BlizzCon from Sombra, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed,
You and Kevin
Kev.
can ride that boat up to BlizzCon.
I am going to be so angry because it has been months. And what is a momentincrime.com? A moment in crime, 55.1036%. The
Blizzard, save us.
the score of Kevin's Canadian driving test. That's anyways, let's talk about our predictions for his Kev didn't like that one. Let's talk about our BlizzCon predictions for 2016. Kev, we'll let you go first.
It's very thoughtful of you. I think this is going to be kind of a big bellwether for what Blizzard has in store for Overwatch. I think we all sort of agreed that it looked a lot like Overwatch released kind of with a lot of stuff still held back. I mean, when we got beta, we were like, okay, this is pretty cool. And they still obviously had a whole slew of characters to dump on us. I remember being at PAX in 2015 when they're like, oh, hey, here's Zarya, who you had no idea about. And we're like, well, but she was in the original picture last fall. Like, this isn't news per se. We were still waiting to find out what Genji's name was at that point, right? I think they've had a lot of stuff ready for a long time. I think they obviously have some long tail plans for this game. But I don't think characters and maps will be enough. And that's really what I want to sort of hang my hat on is I don't think we're getting Sombra until BlizzCon. I think that's kind of a well-established thing at this point. It would be insanity for them to release her any earlier than that because that's such an obvious hype vector for BlizzCon now. I think we'll get characters. I think we'll get maps, probably 2 characters, a couple of maps. But I think the most important thing is they've got to release a new game mode. And I don't know exactly what that will be. We've heard the dev team talk on several occasions about things they've tried and either scrapped, like CTF, they just said it can't be done, or things that they've said, okay, we're still experimenting with this, like the push-pull concepts. And there's definitely going to be something because the game came out very fresh, very fun, shattered expectations, sold like absolute madness. And then it feels like everything just kind of plateaued. Like we heard lots about esports. We heard lots about the game being very enjoyable, but it didn't feel like there was anything to look forward to. And that's where things are starting to kind of dip for me is I don't just want to get new characters and maps forever. I think that's I think that's intentional. I think they decided to layer characters and maps as holdover material till they could get us to BlizzCon and give us a bigger announcement. Exactly what we'll get for a new game mode, I'm not sure. I do not believe we will get any kind of single player content. I know I've heard people speculate around that. I do not think that will ever happen, at least not within Overwatch the game as we know it right now. But I do think we're going to get a new multiplayer mode.
I'd like to see some sort of improvements to the weekly brawls because I feel like the only time I've really went in and played those was because of the Eichenwald map and obviously the summer game stuff. So, I mean, there's got to be seasonal stuff coming as well. Maybe they'll talk more about that. I mean, obviously there's a lot more holidays to celebrate, and we've seen them do this in World of Warcraft a lot as well. But that, and I really think they're going to go all out and announce a really big esports plan for 2017, probably similar to what they're doing with Heroes. I imagine they might just go all in on Overwatch here and have a full league system. with that infrastructure in place.
Okay, I mean, long term, I agree with you. For 2017, I think that's a stretch. You're still dealing with way too many organizations that jumped in, picked up teams, players that aren't well established. Like, I think it's too soon for that. I agree with you that like it's been a known quantity for almost 2 years that Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch were Blizzard's primary focuses in esports. That's a known thing. I just don't think they're going to be ready to do that much with Overwatch with absolutely nothing to show for real demonstrable value back to Blizzard because they haven't done anything yet, right? They've had a couple of big third-party tournaments. They're throwing this little non-prize show match thing at BlizzCon, but they're going to want a year minimum of data before they go and say, yeah, here's a $10 million league that we're going to run in-house. I don't think I mean, even just looking at their job postings right now for their esports team, I don't think they have the personnel to have something like that ready yet.
Jimmy,
they bought MLG.
Jimmy, don't listen to Kev.
I don't know. This is that's what I think.
Kev's a salty
We're allowed
seal.
to disagree.
He's a salty seal when it comes to
He's
these
also the
things.
esports expert.
I agreed with you. I said I think that's where they're going. I think your timeline's off. That's all. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why they can't. I really don't. Especially if it hasn't, like, I mean, right now, leagues have been really successful in Overwatch. They've been probably, I mean, this is pure viewership numbers here. So that's the data that we have. But in pure viewership numbers, it's 70% of what Hearthstone was last year. And, you know, that's enough to put it in top 3 in esports in general. Now, that again, that's just viewership. Yes, there's a lot more info that you need from that, but the Atlantic Showdown saw over 100,000 people live for the finals. Like that's a big number. If they want to, if they want to accelerate that, they can. That's what you do is you accelerate that. You go, cool, we got traction with a third-party company, a little bit of help from us, some wacky stuff. We changed the format in the middle of the whole thing, and to get that kind of traction, I think traction's a better word than numbers. If they wanted it to happen in 2017, you know they're talking about it now. It's not like, okay, 2017's happening, let's start talking about it. You know that they're already talking about it now. So, I don't know. I could totally see them having these conversations right now saying, second half of 2017, let's see what we can do for a big Overwatch league. Totally see it happening. I mean,
they've probably been having that conversation since 2014. Like, let's be clear. That would not be a shock to me at all that they've been working very hard on what the long-term strategy for this is. But I think you have to look at the template of what Blizzard does, right? Because we've got a well-established history to go off of here with all of Blizzard's other esports. You get this non-prize pool show match thing at the first BlizzCon after retail release. They did it with Hearthstone with the Innkeepers Invitational. They did it with Heroes in 2015. They're going to do it this year with Overwatch in 2016. The first year after that, even as far back as when they first released StarCraft 2, they didn't come out the gate with WCS. They didn't come out the gate with the big prize pools. They needed a couple of years of data. They needed a chance for organizations to build up rosters. They needed a chance for players to develop followings. Like, there's definitely an ecosystem that has to sort of have some grassroots growth occur first, and they can absolutely accelerate it. You're right. But it seems totally unrealistic that they would do the same thing with Overwatch, which is a game that has nothing for background or development up to this point, that they're doing with Heroes of the Storm, that they've had an active esports scene for multiple years. They've run Heroes of the Dorm successfully on ESPN twice. Like, they've got a bunch of data. They've got a bunch of examples.
Their players still don't have followings for the most part.
Okay, and I mean that's a Heroes specific problem. Jimmy is just over there going, like,
yep.
it's a known thing.
Like,
and
I get
that.
what you're saying, Kev. Like, you're right. If Blizzard follows the Blizzard formula, like, you're totally right. It's not logical for them to put it out next year. But number one, it hasn't been an FPS. I think there are some things as a former FPS pro, now again, console, so console pleb me, right? But the complexities of some of that is a little bit different. I could totally say I would say they're number one. Number two, you've got a very saturated MOBA esque market, whereas in FPSs you have CS:GO, and even then, that's about as grassroots FPS as you get right now. And I mean, do you remember how fast they moved on that, right?
Well, to Kevin's point, that kind of took a year or two to really take off, I feel like.
And Valve didn't do any of that in-house,
Yep.
so that's not really a good analog either. Because unfortunately, right, this is the thing, is that most esports are not run in-house like that, and they don't generally start that way. Even League with LCS, which is the definition of in-house and kind of what started all of this, didn't come out the gate that way. The game had some time to mature before they dropped LCS on us. Now, granted, it happened fairly quickly, but I just don't. I mean, I think Blizzard has a budget, right? I think they've got an allocation for 2017. I think they're going to hire staff. They're going to put people into positions to manage those players in that community. They're going to build out tournaments, and they're going to support it extravagantly. I think you're going to see Overwatch get probably the most visible, not monetary support, but certainly community support and effort out of Blizzard. But I don't think they're going to go from zero to in-house league in the span of nothing. They've never run a Blizzard-sponsored tournament. They're going to go from a show match at BlizzCon to paying player salaries. That seems like a stretch to me. That's my whole issue with it is that I just don't see them doing that in the first 6 months, even like in the back half of 2017. You're right. Maybe they'd be ready to introduce something and wind it up the way they're winding up the Heroes one this year to start in the fall. I buy that, but that's a year from now. And there's no way they say, yeah, this is going to launch in January 2017. That's unrealistic.
Definitely not January 2017, by the way. Definitely not that. But I could see us hearing mumblings, not even mumblings. I could see us hearing more about Blizzard's in-house plan for Overwatch as an esport if they're taking it seriously. I think one of the differences with the examples you're giving is Blizzard essentially designed Overwatch from the ground up for it. I mean, I don't know if I can say the same about CS:GO. I don't know if CS:GO's let's design this so that we can have the biggest FPS shooter in the world and do esports with it. I don't know if they said that or not. Honestly, I can't do Counter-Strike. But knowing what I do know, there's no information that I have to indicate that that's been placed. Whereas with Overwatch, it's been quite clear from the beginning that that's been the commitment. And while, Heroes is jockeying for just clawing at any sort of market share that they can get in the MOBA scene, Overwatch, with, to your point, virtually no help. When you look at the size of these tournaments, they're big. They're big. Now the question is there enough information from those big tournaments to go, okay, time for an in-house league? Or do they play the safe route, lose those bets, and then have happen to them what happened to Hearthstone? Just kidding. That's not actually going to happen. We gotta go. We gotta go on because we've spent way too much time on this one. We do have some esports news. So we do have the final Overwatch World Cup BlizzCon teams that we will be seeing at BlizzCon. We've got Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Canada, Chile, China, Finland, France, Germany, Russia, Singapore, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, Taiwan, Thailand, and the U.S. A few of those teams did automatically qualify, like the U.S., Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Canada, China, and South Korea. So we all knew that they were all going to be bringing teams to the World Cup. Any comments on this, guys? Or this just kind of cool? Now we know.
It's cool. I'm excited to see how the USA does because that's the players I'm most familiar with. So I'm really excited to see how they do.
Totally. And Kev, you feel good?
It's basically what we expected. I mean, given that we knew kind of the big teams were pre-qualified, it was mostly just a question of what the qualifying process would look like. And I think we spoke to this a little bit last week, but the qualifiers were largely steamrolls. Like most of the qualifiers went very strongly in favor of the teams that are now on this list. They were blowout matches in almost all cases. So it's a good list. I think it'll be competitive. I think what you're going to find is that the big countries, the US, Canada, Korea, Germany are going to show up and really play very well. And don't count out Russia either. They've got a really interesting group of people coming as well. But you're likely going in knowing that a lot of the smaller European and Asia Pacific teams are going to just get knocked out early. I think that's, even in like Chile, for example, it's cool that they get to have a team there, but don't expect to see them take home the cup at the end of this, right? The players that are on teams and coordinated and practicing are the teams that got those immediate qualifications.
And at the end of the day, this is a popularity contest, right? This is to see how many people can we get invested in this. And the best way to do that is to bring in names and be patriotic. Because if there's two things, I mean, that's the All-Star game, that's the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, Pro Bowl. Those things take the best players that you can with the largest following, find a way to make it semi-competitive, and that's what's going on here. So it will not even to that, it won't be the most competitive of games either. There will be really good teams, but even then, you won't be able to put them against Envious or NRG and expect them to actually do any real meaningful type stuff that you see those players doing. We also got the Overwatch Open schedule up starting on Sunday. Anything else in particular about this one, Kev?
Just so for those of you who haven't been keeping track, Faceit and E-League did post at overwatchopen.com the schedule for the first round of matches that are starting this weekend. A couple of really good ones if you've got the time to tune in and watch. Envious is playing Splice, and NRG is playing Team Liquid for the NA side, so I think that'll be really good. Both of those are going to be fun matches to watch. The European side, Reunited is playing against NiP, and Dignitas is playing FaZe. Not as exciting to me personally, but I think they're going to make for really good games. And if you are interested in the progression of that league, you should definitely get over there, check out the schedule, and see when upcoming games are going to be played, so you know when to tune in and check it out.
Sweet. All right, let's go through some of these blue posts. Man, we're going long, boys. We gotta speed it up. So we do have some great dev posts from Jeff Kaplan this week. The team is currently tossing around and working on some ideas to where players who play custom games can get some XP from those custom games, which would be really nice. Jeff points out some obvious flaws with the system that rewards players for not playing the game types that can be policed and enforced, and you can't really cheat the system to get extra experience points. But at the same time, like, if there's a way to do it, of course, the Overwatch team would want to do this. Surprising anybody?
No, I mean, I think this is definitely a good solution. In particular, I think it's really valuable to people who play at a like pro or semi-pro level. There's a lot of people I know who have been trying to put in time and play a lot of games to get scrimmages and stuff done. And they're the lowest level people on my friends list, despite the fact that they're far and away the best players. So in that respect, if they can find a solution that does reward people for playing the game correctly, then absolutely, I really hope they do find a way to get that implemented.
Totally. Another one that we got was the Overwatch team would love to have a public map editor. Surprising no one. Again,
yeah, that's pretty core to like the whole FPS genre, really. And it would be a really, really great way for them to find really talented level designers, really talented game mode designers. I mean, this is some ancient history, but it's kind of a fun throwback. The guy who invented the way that CTF works in video games, capture the flag in video games, originally built it in a Quake editor. He's now a senior developer at Valve, a guy I play with actually, and he's celebrating the 20th anniversary right now of CTF as a mode in FPS, and obviously we're not getting CTF in Overwatch, but the way that became a thing is by someone working in a level editor for an old school FPS. Like, that's how cool new stuff comes about. The whole MOBA genre was a guy playing around in the Warcraft 3 editor, right? Like, Blizzard's editors are very powerful, and it would be super cool to see them do one for Overwatch.
Yeah, and the thing is, with these editors that Blizzard does come out with, it's basically the tools that Blizzard is using to create their levels, their maps, and stuff like that. And this really makes me think back to StarCraft Brood War, where, so much of the pro scene was because of these maps. And when it got to a point with Blizzard's life cycle with StarCraft where they weren't really doing balance changes, the maps basically changed the balance of the game itself. So we could see something like that in Overwatch, I imagine, if this public map editor does come out, and we do get to see a lot of talented map makers come out with new ideas for maps, new verticality, whatever. The sky's the limit once it goes to the public like that.
I'm honestly really excited about this one just for the practicing potential of custom maps and what they give you. We used to play in Halo all the time. You used to play like this gauntlet, like arena thing where it's one shot headshots only type thing. So that's how you learn to headshot people, is you were just thrown into a really small arena with 7 other people and just all you could do is get headshots. We had another map where basically it cut off from about the bottom of Master Chief's helmet to just below his nips. And then you cut off again right below his knees. So you'd have obstacles all through there. So the only place you could shoot was body and head, which is what you would do is you'd shoot, 2-3 shots in the body, depending on the one you were playing, and 1 to the head. And so it like forced you to do these types of solid mechanics in a way that you can't get in practice with just, quick match or competitive play. You're always still having an objective, and that objective is winning the game. Whereas the objective of those custom games is getting better at that certain thing that you're trying to learn to do. So I'm also really excited for the ability to start working on those types of maps and practice ranges, I guess is what you could call them as well. Dope. Okay, no plans for a mini map in Overwatch. I love the way that Jeff positioned this. Basically, he's like, sure, for basically the OP decided that it would really help new players and give them valuable information about the map. But Jeff was like, yes, but then at a certain point, competitive players want more and more and more and more information until it becomes a really skill-heavy thing, which you two MOBA guys know a lot about using that mini-map effectively. And so he's like, that's not really the type of gameplay and game style we're looking for. Eventually, you're going to learn the placement of things on the map. You're going to learn to know where your teams are, but we don't want the mini-map to be that handicap to do that. We want player skill to do that, which I really liked and honestly surprised me a little bit. I love the response, but it surprised me that Blizzard would forego a feature that would make the beginning experience better to not make it as integral part of the game as it has become in a lot of other games, and not even go down that route. They're like, we're not even going to go down that route because we absolutely do not want it this way.
Right. And I think it's interesting to note, like, they do say they want it potentially as something for observers for esports purposes down the road. But I think you're right. Like, I think it's interesting that they don't really go into the detail I would have expected given the position they've staked out. But a big part of it is also that it reduces the value of shot calling and communication. If everybody can see when ultimate gets used on the minimap because the voice line activates and it also pings your minimap, it totally eliminates the need for like well coordinated teams to actually say to each other, this is what's going on, this is who's ulting and where. That's a huge variable, and it makes the skill ceiling in the game a lot higher because team coordination becomes that much more important. The new player angle is nice, and I think it's kind of an interesting theory. If they were going to do anything that was really helpful to new players, what they could do and would be really neat would be, and Jimmy, you would probably remember this as well, when Heroes of the Storm was still newer, they really flaunted on the Heroes website, they had a Battlegrounds section where you could go and you could get a top-down view of all of the maps in the game and kind of scroll through them and see where all the major points on the map were, where mercenary camps were, where bushes you could hide in were. It was a really, really well done feature.
They still have it.
Yeah, so you can go play with that. It's like it doesn't matter as much anymore because I think people who care already know the maps in game quite well. But for Overwatch, I think it'd be super cool if they could put together like a walkthrough 3D demo or a like top-down view of those maps that you could render and move around with online, so you could look at them. People could actually learn things like, because we never really got to this point, but the calls for individual places on the map. Right? Everybody knows how to call, point A, point B, but what do you call the little arch underneath the little bridge when you're coming around the corner after the first point on what map is that? No, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. There's a lot of like inconsistency in what calls different teams and players are using. So that would be really cool if they had something where you could say, this is the well. We call it the well, and it's top-down view, and you could scroll through and see it. That would be, I think, way more constructive than an in-game minimap.
Sure, I get that. Okay, Tracer used to be able to blink up, but then, surprising nobody, they discovered that it was way too powerful. Thank you, Blizzard. Thank you. That would have been so annoying.
We talked so much in the movement episode about how important verticality is. Tracer with verticality would have been the most broken thing.
I mean, look at Genji, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, now that he's less vertical, how great is he? He's still solid, but man, it definitely took down a notch those really good Genji players. We also have we had some people complaining and whining about draws. Just kidding, they weren't whining, but they had multiple draws. And they said that, it's too high. They need to fix that system. Jeff just let us know. Draws are currently 6% of the final match results, which I know initially when they first talked about the new system, their goal was to get it below 10. So that's a pretty good number, and it got them there. So
I think 6% is pretty good, and it definitely feels better than the coin flip that they used to have. Anecdotally, I've only had 2 draws out of like 50 or 60 competitive games, so I think that lines up pretty good. I feel bad for this poster who was like, yeah, I've had like a bunch in a row. I was like, that's just, I don't know, that's just gonna happen at some point. I feel bad for that, but overall 6%, that's pretty good.
Yeah, 6% is a super low number, and honestly, yes, there's going to be variance. Someone's going to hit multiple in a row. The alternative is to go back to a system where you have coin flips or some way to eliminate draws and reduce the likelihood that one team matches the score of the other. Like it's a kind of a necessary evil. I'm really happy with the way this system works. The idea that someone complained about it in the first place is kind of like, but this is what we asked for. This is better. Why are we mad about this now?
I mean, I get it. Like, for me personally, my favorite overall iteration, I get why they got rid of it, but I just loved going to a best of one control point. I really do. Just because there's no such thing as a draw. You can never, ever, ever, ever get a draw. But to do that, you give up the idea of playing on the map that you just played on and doing the things that you were just doing. It's kind of like having 2 teams play football, tie, and go, cool, let's do a home run derby. And I get that. I get why people would not, totally love that. At the same time, there is probably more that they could be doing with the time bank system. We had a time where my brother and I were playing, and we steamrolled them. We had like 5.5 minutes left on the clock for the initial Payload game. They barely got it down literally they got that 1 minute left, and no joke, they walked down the whole map with that 1 minute, and we couldn't even get it past the first checkpoint in 6. And I'm like, oh, that didn't really feel good either. So, doing like time bank stuff, I even if we did win, it was like, great, that was a waste of time. So I'd like to see more changes there.
I mean, if they can do anything to reduce the instance rate of draws, yeah, absolutely. If they can find ways to make the system take into account big disparities like that in initial results, yeah, all for it. Broadly, though, I think it's so much better than what we had before and such a good system now that it does seem a little bit like the people who are mad now are probably never going to be happy. It would be my contention.
Well, and it's just one of those things where like, ooh, this really sucked. It's like if every time you lose for, in Hearthstone, because of a specific card, going to the forums and complaining about it. Like, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen eventually. And it's like, more likely it's just people who are emotional in the moment. Because there was nothing really constructive from that. It's just like, draw shouldn't happen, Blizz. What's going on? I shouldn't be drawing if I do this. And, that's not very constructive to do that. Come up with a solution, a better one, and they'll implement it. They've already shown that. If people come up with better solutions than what are currently in the game, they've been very quick to implement those. Yeah?
Yep.
Oh, man. We're not going to be able to get through our strategy segment. We really aren't. So, we're going to do it. We're just going to get out of here.
Rip.
Believe it or not, next week, we're going to talk about payload strategy because it's us. That's us.
How
We're the
to
payload.
run a podcast.
How to run what?
How to run a podcast.
What? I
We
don't.
moved our payload too slowly, and now we're not going to make it to the final checkpoint.
It's all right. I think we had some really good
No, it was good.
discussion, especially about some BlizzCon predictions, talking about that league stuff. Like, I think overall it was really good, and I think that we can milk this last 5 to 10 minutes. Just kidding. Never mind. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening and hanging out with us for episode number 41 of The Payload. If you want to check us out, we're Thursday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at twitch.tv/BlizzPro. Find us there. However, next Wednesday, we will be on a different day on a different channel. So good luck finding that. It's like one of those pop-up VIP parties.
We'll post it on our social media.
Nope. Good luck. Good luck finding us. Hide and go seek. I'm sure everyone will love that game. So yeah, thank you so much. We do want to thank our MVPs, Adam B and Tyler H. Thank you so much for your support of the show. What else we got going on in Patreon land this week, Kev?
Well, we don't have any brand new patrons to thank this week, but we do just want to mention that obviously we're ramping up to do some really cool stuff with the show. We're planning on some cool guests into the fall. We'll be trying to get you guys some exclusive coverage of things going down from BlizzCon. Hopefully have lots of cool news to report back when we all get back from that. All of which, for the time being, is made possible exclusively by the friends and fans of the show. So we don't have any sponsors. We don't have a big corporate entity backing us. We've got, John's mom and you guys. So if you want to become a part of that family, help us out, get involved, you can head over to patreon.com/payloadpodcast and find out what it's all about.
Woo. My mom does support the show. She does.
Of course she does.
What does your mom do? We're not going there. All right. What about iTunes reviews, Jimmy? iTunes reviews.
Our iTunes reviews, we always appreciate those 5-star iTunes reviews you can give us. It really helps out in exposing the show to new viewers and helps our rankings in the store there. But we do have one from the US store from Saxophone. I love that name. Thank you so much for your review, your 5-star review on the iTunes store. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, well, let's do some shout outs this week. Kev, you're up.
Cool. All right. So this week, obviously for me, has been crazy. Tons of stuff going on with work. I wish I had things I could tell you right now, but I guess I can kind of tease some upcoming articles. I've got new stuff coming out with Vice, IGN, and Bleacher Report, all coming up very soon, covering a whole range of games and esports. So if you've enjoyed reading the stuff I've written in the past or want to check that out because you haven't, you'll be able to find all that over on my Twitter at Lack of Realism, where I'm verified now, which is really cool. And I do have one other pretty cool announcement coming about some esports related gigs in the not so distant future. Can't say anything yet, but soon.
Nice. Thanks for nothing. Jimmy.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just follow me, twitter.com/DJ Tyrant. I'm prepping for the panel that we're doing at TwitchCon and really just getting ready for that. That's basically my focus right now. And hopefully getting into some casting for Heroes again soon. It's been a little while since I've done that, so just looking for more esports stuff to do.
Nice. As for me, it's going to be a busy week, but then next Thursday, Jimmy, it's basically vacation, buddy. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
That's the nice thing about having our panel at Friday at 12:30 is we have the rest of the weekend, Saturday and Sunday to party, essentially.
Lots of parties. It's going to be great. So that's going to be really fun at TwitchCon. I'm going to try to hit the stream this week. See if I can do that. I've got some other real life stuff going on, but hopefully I can get the stream going this week a little bit. Twitch.tv/KickedTripod. If you want to come hang out, we usually have a good time. But yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get out of here. You can find more Overwatch stuff throughout the week at overwatch.blizzpro.com. A big thank you to Jake Buttineau at jakebuttineau.ca for our music. And you can find us on Twitch at, Twitter, not Twitch. You can find us on Twitch here, twitch.tv/BlizzPro. Find us on Twitter at Payload Podcast, on Facebook at facebook.com/Payload Podcast. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/Payload Podcast. And just to make things difficult, email us at thepayload@blizzpro.com. We always enjoy your iTunes reviews, and we would love to read your name with your accompanying 5-star review. That was the most awkward way to put together that sentence. Look out, Kevin, coming for your job. Coming for your job. I'm going to write stuff. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, you can find us on Twitch. Why do I keep saying Twitch? iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and Google Podcast. This has been episode number 41. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, probably, maybe, I don't know. Follow us on Twitter to find out more. Bye.
The Payload is a production of BlizzPro. Find out more about Overwatch at overwatch.blizzpro.com. You can find your hosts throughout the week on social media. Find Jimmy on Twitter at DJ Tyrant, Kevin on Twitter at Lack of Realism, and John on Twitter at KickedTripod.